To get this done, these are the tools that we're gonna use. You're gonna need masking tape to tape over the door where you want to work, and pencil. You're gonna need the Lockset, that's what you need to start with. Tape measure, a square. I like this combination square type squares. You're gonna need screwdriver or a screw gun with probably, very likely, with a Phillips number 2 bit. There we go. And you are gonna need a hole saw kit, which is a hole socket. It's not only a hole socket, it's a hole saw. Okay, I'll show you how this works. There, that's the spelling I have in mind. Okay, you gotta start with the doorknob and the Lockset. You gotta decide what kind of door this is, and I'm gonna demonstrate throughout this project with this door that's moldy and it's been a student door, with the doorknob and the Lockset that's painted over and has seen a fair day of use already. Everything's gonna be old and budget looking, because my point is, you don't need a laser guided hole drilling coring machine and a tape measure that extends with a built-in motor and fancy stuff that manufacturers would want to make you believe that you need to get anything like this done. Forget about it. Okay, this 10-year-old masking tape will work with this very old pencil and with this painted over doorknob. Okay, I'll show you. Just watch out for the geometry, because that's the only thing that really matters in this one. So you got to start with this doorknob. What kind of door is it? Do you want lock on it, or is it just a doorknob, say on a, I don't know, wherever you keep your tools and, not tools, mops and buckets and stuff, you know, some kind of utility room where that doesn't need to be locked. So if it does need to be locked, figure out where does the door lock go. Okay, do you want to get locked inside, or do you want to lock it from the outside? On a bathroom, typically you would have a privacy lock on the inside. Okay, something like this, and a keyed lock on the outside, so if the lock breaks inside or whatever, they can still open it from the outside, but normally you can lock it from the inside. That's standard procedure for a bathroom. Okay, so do your thinking and also consider which way the door swings. Okay, because the door swing is the next thing to think about, because you need to find a bevel on the door. It does matter where you put the hinges, because doors' edges have a bevel, and I'm gonna show you this bevel. The bevel, let's see, just come on closer a little bit. Say, how do we do this? I'll just get you off the tripod so you can see what I'm talking about. The door's edge have a bevel. Okay, so when you put your square on it, there is your door bevel. Okay, can you see that gap underneath the stock of the square? When I run it down, it hits this way. Okay, so that means that this is the outside and that's the inside. This bevel means that if you lay out your crosses, it does matter where you lay out the cross marks for drilling on the door, because if you measure from this edge, measure down this way, and then you measure from the other edge, measure down that way, then the two crosses on the two faces of the doors will not meet. Okay, and if this is, instead of the student project moldy garbage door, instead of this, it's a $5,000 executive boardroom door, and you drill in from the two sides and the holes don't meet, boy, you have a problem. Okay, so take a look at the bevel. Where's the bevel? Which way does the door swing? where's the outside, because it's going to make or break your project right then and there. Okay, back on the tripod. So let me just say it again, just to make sure you don't miss it. Take a look at the door's bevel by running your square on it and see which is the high side on the door, because that, whatever the high side is, that has to be the outside, because that bevel makes sure that the door, when it opens, doesn't get jammed in the door opening. Okay, whatever is the high side, that's where I like laying out the center of the hole. You can work from the other side too, but the locks and everything, they should be measured out from the longest side typically, because otherwise you're gonna have to do a subtraction. And why it's important that one side is higher than the other is that if you lay out your whole location from both edges, then the two holes on the two sides of the door won't meet. And if they won't meet, you won't be able to put the Lockset in. And if it's a $5,000 executive door, it's going to be a costly problem. It happened before, believe me. So, once you have the high side of the door figured out, and you have your Lockset, and you figured out which one's going to be the key and which one's going to be the other side, then you need a location picked on the door other than the high side of the door. You're going to need to measure from the bottom of the door or from the floor, whatever distance. I turn it intentionally so you don't have numbers on it, because it's been a student project. So 36 inches for doorknob height is typical, or so. You might already have in the door frame the strike plate from the latch already installed in it. So take a look at that one too. Make sure that the center line of the strike plate on the door frame is going to have to meet this one. So in that case, your point of reference is given. You're going to have to copy and transfer that height onto this door when it's hung in place already, okay? Not when it's on the floor like this. Next one. You're going to need to see, okay, just a sec. This one. It comes with two positions here. I'm just cleaning it. It says 2 and 3/8. Just wait for the camera to focus. There, it says 2 and 3/8 there, and there's an arrow on it. And then it says 2 and 3/4. There, 2 and 3/4, and it's got another arrow up there. This part of the door mechanism can slide back and forth a little bit. How this works is that when this doorknob and everything is together, that, how do I turn it? That one goes through there, and then these screw holes, two screw holes, will go through there and there. Okay, so you can set it for a 2 and 3/4 door if this distance dictates that the latch that you're operating be working with this distance. Then you're gonna have to set it to a 2 and 3/4 distance. The 2 and 3/4 distance is 2 and 3/4 of an inch from here to the center. Let's see. Now this one moves a little bit, you can see. Okay, but the theory size, or you know, from the center line of the spindle here that rotates to the edge of this one there's your 2 and 3/4. That's nominal. That's the bottom of the trench when this one is countersunk in the door. There's your 2 and 3/4 mark. And there, from center line to the bottom of this latch gain that you need to chisel in mortise into the door. Okay, so from the center line on the handle to the bottom of the latch gain, 2 3/4. Okay, that's important because the 2 3/4 need to apply from the long side of the door down. So what you do is just measure down 2 3/4 of an inch. Say 1, 2 3/4. There, make a horizontal line and measure from the bottom of the door up and make another vertical line, say 36 inches, wherever you like your door to be. Okay, we're done with the square. Don't lay out the other side of the door, okay? Please do yourself a favor. Now this part. Actually, we're not done with the square. Sorry, my bad. You need to transfer this line, that horizontal line that you picked, say the 36 inches from the bottom of the door or whatever, transfer it there and transfer it to the edge of the door there. Okay, and then measure the thickness of the door, whatever it be, divide it by 2 and make a mark there halfway through. That's where the center line of your, there, take a look. This is the center of the door. This is the 36 inches up from the bottom. So this is that line, and that's the center of the door. That's where the latch is center, and the mechanism need to slide in. That's how it's gonna look like when it's done. Okay, you kind of have the idea. And all of these lines, this one and the center line of that hole, needs to line up with the center line of this hole. There you can see my finger. Okay, that would be the idea. If these two holes don't line up, you won't be able to put together the lock set inside the door. Okay, and how, just to finish this one, how this one goes together, once it's mounted like so, you can see it's turning the doorknob and it's retracting the latch, spring-loaded latch, this way. Okay, it can go on this way, it can go on this way as well. So there is almost an infinite amount of possibility for screw up and putting these together the wrong way. Okay, but I'll walk you through these steps. Next thing you do is you're gonna need one of these. This is a hole saw kit, and you need to find a hole saw that's big enough but not too big for these two studs here coming from this doorknob here. You need the the hole needs to be big enough for those. So how about this one, 2.5 inch hole saw? You can do this with the hole saw. Take a look at it. If you make a 2.5 inch hole, the escutcheon plate, this trim plate, is barely gonna cover it. So this one is a little too big. It's generous enough, it fits these ones within, but it's a little too big. Next size down, I'm gonna pull in the 2 1/4. If I use this one, you can see that there's enough room for these threaded studs to be fitted in. As I look at it from here, the escutcheon plate is covered up, so this one's a good candidate. I'm just gonna go down one more. How about the 2 inch one? Is the 2 inch gonna work? The 2 inch is just barely, just isn't gonna work. You can see the 2 inch. Okay, the 2 inch could work, but just barely. It's such a tight fit that if I need to shift this one up and down a little bit or side to side or whatever, this one doesn't allow much or any movement for the mechanism inside the door if I need an adjustment. Let me test fit it. Yeah, it wasn't pre-drilled with this one. I don't know if this lock set was mounted here, but I'm just testing here. Yeah, that's 2 1/4. That's a 2 1/8 hole. That's what they went with. Okay, I don't have 2 1/8. I have 2 1/4, and I need to put it on the mandrel. This is the mandrel for it. It's got this drill bit. If you break it, it comes out. It's got that hex key on it that you can tighten your drill bit with, and there, the drill bit is replaceable. Alrighty, getting there. Okay, now it's put together. So what you need to do is put it in your drill and drill through here. But you gotta make sure that your eyeballing is dead on, because if you drill other than square to the surface of the door, if you drill this way, I'm exaggerating to make a point, it's not gonna work. If you drill this way, it's really not gonna work. If it's got to be square both ways, this way and this way. Okay, and I hope you have a good eyeballing for this one. Now we need to mount it in the chuck of the drill and drill in a little bit. Alright, now I'm good to go for drilling. Just one last check here. You can see that the center point of my hole to be drilled is further down than that one. You might want to do a reality check with your given door hardware that this actually works. You can see that the center of the square shaft there is at the 2 3/4 location, and when this one is mortised in, the latch plate up top is mortised in the edge of the door. That square, that square hole actually lines up with that one, so that's pretty good there. Okay, and obviously the previous Lockset that the students did, that's 2 3/8 for, yeah, it looks something like that, for 2 3/8 Lockset. Okay, we're gonna do this 2 3/4. Okay, let's go drilling. And this is why you lay it out. This is why you laid it out only on the one side of the door and the high side, because just in case you don't go in square again twice in both directions, square to the door, then if you don't go in perfectly square, then you're not coming out on the other side either at the hole where you expect to come out, at the crosshairs that you might want to make and continue this line. But again, don't, because it's not really working out well in most of the cases. There, we went about yay far, and at this point, let's see, okay, I see the cookie broke in half. It happens, but that's not a problem. So in this case, take a look. What we've got here is a biggie hole and then a smaller hole, and the small hole comes out on the other side. And of course it breaks the chips as usual, because there was nothing on this side. So that's the hole that you can line up your saw hole for the next cut, just like so. Okay, so that's where you have to go in. Now if you have another mark on this side of the door because you transferred, at this point that hole is gonna, that mark is gonna disappear because you just drilled through it. Okay, so that's why don't worry about marking this half of the door. Also, if your mark doesn't disappear, say it's, let me just grab a pencil, say your hole is, sorry, not your hole, your pencil mark is there. Now what do? So you're gonna have to check your layout lines, this one here and this one, to make sure that they are actually square. However, no amount of checking will change the fact that if you went in this particular manner on this side of the door, and that's where you're coming out, that's the only way your hole from this side will line up with the hole from the other side that you already drilled in. And that's the only way the escutcheon plate is gonna cover the hole that you create, okay? Because this trim plate, it's got a limited size. You know, it can move. Sorry, it can move about a little bit, but not this much. You know, so if you start being creative and fixing it, oh, let's drill this face of the door from this hole, and that's gonna correct itself. Nah, usually it's gonna just create problems. Usually, okay. So I'm just gonna make the hole from the other side. Just give me a sec here. There we go, the rest of the cookie. We've got the hole. You probably noticed that the drill has a fair amount of wobble in it because the bit and this saw hole is bent on it. Again, my point is, it doesn't need fancy equipment to drill holes and mount a Lockset. Okay, it's gonna work just as fine. Let's take a look at the result. So there's the hole on one side. You can see I was just barely going into the this part of the trim there for the well, this is not a real panel, this is a fake panel, but there you go. And that's why they went with 2 3/8 Lockset on this side, because the 2 3/8 fits this door. You can see the 2 3/4 is chewing into the decorative feature of the door, and when I cover it with the plate, now there's gonna be a lip there on the escutcheon plate that's gonna be sticking out. And the same hole on this side. It went fairly well because it meets the same detail on this side. So far so good. Now we need a third hole up here, and that needs this 1-inch bit, because that 1-inch hole is going to be big enough for the latch to slide through, and it's going to look like so when we're done. And this is just going to slide in something like that. If I put a hole in here, nice and square. Again, it has to be square both ways, this way and this way. So have fun eyeballing it. I'll show you how it's done in a sec. Every so often check your work to make sure that indeed it is going square both ways. There, done with that one. Of course, a fresh battery makes it faster, or a quad power tool. Okay, let's see what we did here. There's the hole that I just made, and that's how we're looking. I can remove the tape. I chose this tape, it's 10 years old, intentionally for this one, that you can get it done with the cheapest, almost worst equipment. Of course you need sharp drill bits and sharp teeth on the saw hole kit, but it doesn't have to be costing hundreds of dollars. Okay, that's the point, that's why. So, and that's how it looks. Let's see what this can do. Now, that one fits fantastic. It can go either way. It does matter which way you want to slam the door. So this is the high side of the door, so that means that this closes this way, okay, because it's gonna close this way, and it needs to meet the strike plate on the door jamb this way. But even if you put it in this way, it's not a big problem. You just need to take it apart and change it. No big deal. So there it is in 2 3/4 position, and then this beautiful Lockset just goes in, just like so. Well, yeah, this is the outside, so I want the key on this side. Just a sec. It's hard to do it with one hand. There. Let's take a look at it from the other side. It's good. You can see it's functional. There. And what I need to do at this point is lay out the location. Now when the door lock is assembled, where is the other half? I don't know where the other, here it is. When the doorknob is on and you put both screws in, tighten it, center it, whatever, that's when you need to grab your pencil for this latch plate and draw its location, you know, center it like so, and then draw its location on the door, and you're gonna need to chisel it out and mortise it in. I'm not gonna film that one, it's already long enough, but and I have filmed the how to mortise in hinge gain for the door, so it's very similar process. You can see the pencil lines, just go along the pencil lines carefully, remove the chips, nice and easy. Okay, so that's how this one's done. It's fully functional, nice $5,000 executive boardroom door. Have fun with it, experiment.